Hey guys, welcome to something different. This is one of the reasons why I got into Let's Playing. My style of game has always been RPGs since I played Chrono Trigger as a kid, since I played Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past as a kid. I've always loved the music, the storylines, the characters. That, to me, was the entire point behind gaming. And the reason I started off, and I think I explained this probably a month ago now, whenever I started this, that the reason that I wanted to play these other games first was just so I could get used to trying to talk over things. And as I did that with Donkey Kong and some parts of Mario, I learned that my commentary style really works better for an RPG anyway. So instead of putting off some of my favorite games until later, I think it's probably better to start them now. And so this is going to be, as you can see there, let's play Final Fantasy IX. Hey, don't do that. I didn't click anything. No, don't do that. Yeah, they have a little preview, pre-roll demo thing like they do in most games if you wait on the start screen long enough. But this one just shows off all the characters, so I'm not going to show that off so that you will, maybe, if you haven't played the game, be surprised about the characters when you actually meet them in the game. And that kind of leads me to another idea that I was tossing around with before I started this. I wasn't sure whether I wanted to play the game in a way that I acknowledge that you, the viewers, already know what's going on, and so I won't bother with things like talking about, that's the word I'm looking for. So I wouldn't worry about spoilers, and I'd just go into talking about the game in a far more analytical perspective. But then again, I thought, well, not everyone's played Final Fantasy IX. It's not a Final Fantasy VII. It's not that popular. It is popular, especially under purists of the series, but it's a little bit different. So it's hard to say which one I wanted to do. So I was debating it, and as with most great debates, I always ended up riding the damn fence. So I'm not going to blow a bunch of spoilers out all the time, and I'm not going to ruin any big major events, but I am going to talk about the characters and how they evolve over the course of the game, and just how their personalities are going to change. And usually it's relatively obvious early on how the characters will be evolving. Not always, but it's not the most subtle of games, put it that way. Though it is definitely one of my favorites, and oddly enough, it wasn't when I first played it. When I first played it, I had played Chrono Trigger as a kid, and for whatever reason I missed out on playing all of the Final Fantasy games on Super Nintendo, so I never played them as a kid. So that cuts them out, but when I got my PlayStation, I started playing Final Fantasy VII right away, and I just loved it. And then I got Final Fantasy VIII, and I thought that was pretty good. And then I got Final Fantasy IX and Chrono Cross, and I found that I enjoyed Final Fantasy VIII more than IX at the time, and I enjoyed Chrono Cross quite a bit as well, just because I was so in love with the first game. And this is our main hero. We're supposed to light the candle in the middle, but if we go over here, we get a little exclamation mark above our head, and that'll show us that that's how we're going to find hidden items in this game. Just a sec. Sorry about that. I had to adjust my headphones. And it's going to keep telling me to light the candle in the middle. Go over here and get a potion. And yeah. So little things will appear over our head throughout the game to show us action points and people we can, or not people we can talk to, but if we can talk to something that you don't necessarily see, or examine something on the wall or something like that. And yeah, this game, and here's our main character, Zidane. Zidane. I called him Zidane growing up, so I'm probably going to continue that trend. That may not be the correct pronunciation, but sue me. I really don't care. And this is our group. Blank. And where's the boss? And there's Cinna. Cinna's an interesting, kind of useless character. And somehow we're supposed to believe that this is like a monster, but it looks like a guy wearing a hat. A very stupid looking hat, but a hat nonetheless. So here's our tutorial battle where we kind of learn how the battle mechanics are going to work in this game. Unlike 7 and 8, you want to steal from this guy. You can have more than 3 characters. You can have a total of 4 characters in battle. And in this battle, you won't have... Nice. You have 4 mages. Or, 4 mages. I have 4 thieves, which kind of tells you what Zidane's group does. And, so yeah, basically we're just going to keep stealing until we have all the items this guy has. Ah, there we go. This guy has a total of 3 items, and I didn't get a chance to set the battle speed to go faster, so this is going to be relatively slow. But yeah, I'm going to kind of treat this game, hard to say exactly how I'm going to do it, but it was a game that, yeah, Cinna always dies because he's really, really weak. But it's not important. And the helmet breaks off and we win the battle. Yay! But yeah, like I was mentioning before, Final Fantasy VIII and Chrono Cross were games that when I first got them, I enjoyed them quite a bit more than I do now. And when I first played 9, it was a game I enjoyed, but it wasn't something I enjoyed more than I enjoyed 8. That's something that has changed. Final Fantasy VIII has bothered me more and more the more times I've played it, but more so than I think any other game, except for maybe Final Fantasy V, this game, the more times I play it, the more I like it. It's just surprising to me how much this game seems to improve with age. You know, a lot of games, if you look at Final Fantasy VII or 6, 5, 4, 8, even 10, the more realistic dialogue in any of them is in this game. The characters actually speak in a realistic manner. And they're going to explain the basic plot for the first part of the game here. Going to break in here and kidnap the princess. So we're not saving the princess, we're going to kidnap her. Aren't we supposed to be the good guys? And they're going to explain that we're on a ship, we're going to Alexandria. And we're going to put on a play called I Want to Be Your Canary. And perform for the citizens of Alexandria. Marcus is going to play the lead. And that's Marcus there. And Blank and I, or Zidane, will be the kidnappers for this, and they are going to introduce a very strange creature called an Oglop, which is kind of stupid, but alright, this is kind of an interesting little point here. You kidnap, well, we're supposed to kidnap the princess. However, if you say this, I think it's 50 times, it will, a character named Ruby will break into the room, and I'm just going to hit the button a whole bunch of times off screen, and then I will show you what happens when you do a whole bunch of them in a moment. Yeah, for whatever reason, if you press the damn button and say you're going to kidnap the Fat Queen a bunch of times, for whatever reason, I don't know why, but they threw this little tidbit in here where you get to meet Ruby, which is another member of the band. She's more the actress type, so she's always going to be on stage as opposed to actually doing any thievery. But yeah, she breaks in there, and then you're forced to do Princess Garnet after that. And Baku is kind of creepy considering Princess Garnet is turning 16. He's not a pedophile much. Anyway. So yeah, we're gonna move on to this. Yeah, it's a game that just became better and better as time has gone by, and not necessarily does it age well, but it does. But it's not the reason why it gets better. The more times I've played it, it just seems to have more majesty to it. The epic feel is always there, no matter how many times you play it. It's similar to Final Fantasy VII in that light, but it doesn't become tedious. Maybe because it wasn't so hyped, but in an overall perspective, in terms of music, in terms of story, in terms of character development, in terms of dialogue, in terms of overarching stories and everything else you can think of, from an overall perspective, Final Fantasy IX is probably the best constructed Final Fantasy game in the entire series. And that may be a controversial statement, I'm not sure. There are a lot of people who view this game as one of the best in the series, and I definitely agree with them. I do think it is one of the best created. My personal favorite is still going to be Final Fantasy VII. However, I do like this game a lot, and I don't know it as well as Final Fantasy VII, but I do know it quite well. I've probably beaten this game 5 or 6 times now. And yeah, so it's going to be an interesting ride to see how this goes while I try and talk over it. Now we're introduced to another one of our characters here that we get to control right here, and he fell over and dropped his ticket. And yeah, we got a little icon like they do in 7, but it disappears relatively quickly. We can go back here. We can run around and around and around, and there we go. We can find cards. Very similar to Final Fantasy VIII. There's another one there. There's a potion. Very similar to Final Fantasy VIII, there is a card game in this game. And unlike Final Fantasy VIII, it's completely pointless. There is one possible item you can gain from playing cards, and so I will do just enough card playing to get that item, and that's about it. There really is no other point to doing it. So we can pick up some items along the way, and this guy will always run at you no matter what you do, whether you're darting out of his way or not. He will always run into you. Similar to Chrono Trigger in that sense, where at the beginning of the game you run into Marley. You're forced to do that to advance the plot, and although it's not like it's a plot point in this game, it's definitely something that has to happen. It's forced on you as soon as you go that far. And this character will look at something and fall down on his ass because, I don't know, it's kind of funny when you know this guy's character later on. Yeah, there's 9 gil worth of savings there. We can go up the ladder here. And come on. Come on. There we go. We can steal a card from there. Go down here. I can talk to some of the NPCs, but most of them, you know, they'll give some background on this town, but not a lot. There's a couple that I will talk to because they do give good background. And this guy is from Trino, whatever. And basically he leads a bunch of nobles from that city because it's the city of nobles. And we will find that out later. Go over here. Hey, come back here. Pick up some more gilling on the ground. There's one more over here too. Goblin card. This guy is called Hippo. And yeah, he says that, and that's all for now. However, there is an item here, But there is a side quest that you can do. Well, it's not really a side quest, it's more of a mini game. But you can do a little mini game with him later. You can talk to the guy at the bar. Yeah. See, a lot of these characters really don't say anything. You know, we've got strange looking characters that aren't all completely human in this. This guy wants to go to the show, but he can't. You know, that's a red mage. This character that I'm controlling is obviously a black mage. The bartender is what this game identifies as a thief. In many cases, that is what a thief will look like. Talk to this guy here, Mick, and he seems to know me. Or no, he knows me later because I talked to him here. Either way, the ticket booth that we're heading toward is in the center square. And we have to get our ticket stamped before we can go into the castle. But we can also take a little side tour into here, pick up another item. And this guy here, good afternoon, will sell us some stuff that we don't need at this point in the game. I will pick up a couple of those and a couple of those, because that'll help. And then we can move on. It's always good to have a couple of healing items just in case you need them. These nobles, or I don't think they're nobles, but there's a bunch of people over here that will just talk about flowers. That's pointless. There's an icon here. The Heroic Knights of Pluto. Yeah, okay, sure. I don't think that ever really becomes pertinent in the course of the game, so whatever. Talk to the synthesist's wife. And now they can finally afford a ticket to the show. That's a great little story. She's so happy. Now, over here, we find another. Yes, I pronounce it wrong, I know. Stop that. It's actually pronounced ether, but as a kid I didn't know that. If you go right in the corner here, there we go. You're just like a quarter of a centimeter off screen here. If you go any more to the right, you're off screen totally. And yeah, these guys talk about some of this thing. He wants a little more money. If you talk to this thing here, they're recruiting new Knights of Pluto. And yeah, Captain of the Knights of Pluto is trying to recruit more male soldiers, I think. I think that was just male. Whatever. Anyway, if we go up here, Hipple has transported himself up here in the meantime, and he hid 3 precious cards in a safe place. And we can get a rare Phoenix Pinion over here. And there's an interesting scene in here. I guess I can show that off. No vacancies. And he's pissed off because he had a reservation and they screwed him over on that. Yeah, and this character just doesn't really understand how it works. There's another hippo thing in there. If I remember right, if I go this way, I'm on the balcony. I don't think there's any purpose in being up here. I guess it shows off more of the building. I really don't know why they added that in there, but oh well. It's interesting nonetheless. It gives us a more immersive world. Here we can do a mini game called the Jump Rope game. And this game really is pointless. Like, there is no purpose to this game. It is boring, it is tedious, and I'm not very good at it. You see, you do it 20 times, you get 10 gil. I think most of the prizes for this are cards, and it doesn't serve any purpose. It doesn't really matter. I'm sure there's a list. Oh, she ran out. Perfect. If you go up here into her house, now that she's run out, you can go up here, and under the bed, you find 3 gil. Woo! And over here, we find eye drops. Yay! More eye drops. And then we go in here, and in here we have an item here, a tent. That's always good. I'm gonna want those in this game. And over here, I think it's a potion. Yeah. And then, if you remember, Hippo hid 3 precious cards in a safe place. So we go up here, pull the rope, ring the bell, and something falls down. There we go. And it's a little mini treasure chests, and we get an Ironite card, a Goblin card, and a Fang card. Not that it matters, because, like I said, the cards, especially the ones you get this early in the game, they all suck. You can actually get more than one of the same card, even the rarer cards. There is no, like, you know, I guess I could show it off a little bit. But yeah, if you look at down the bottom right, you know, it's got different variety of arrows per card, and different strengths, and I can go over how this game works a little better when it actually matters, but until then I'm not going to worry about it because it's really too confusing to throw at you first thing when you start the game. But while we're here, we're going to go into config, and I am going to I always leave it on wait, but I could put it to active if someone wants to see it. Set that to run. Battle speed up, field message up, here icon on, and I don't need the vibration. I don't even know if it works. I've got a PS2 controller hooked up to my computer via adapter and USB, so I don't even know if it carries the vibration signal. But anyway, looking from the time on there, I obviously have run this episode quite long, so I will stop right here, and then we will continue next time, and we'll show off a little more of this town, do some more story, get some more exploration going, and then try and continue on with the game. So that's all for this episode of Let's Play Final Fantasy IX, and I'll see you guys next time.